In a world often consumed by the fleeting and the material, have you ever paused to consider what true blessedness really looks like? What if an ancient declaration from a figure of immense spiritual authority held the key to understanding a profound state of grace that many of us might already possess, yet remain unaware of? Imagine if Pope Leo XIV, in his wisdom, laid bare three specific signs, not of worldly success, but of genuine divine favor, signs that resonate deeply with the spiritual insights of revered figures like Padre Pio. This isn't about grand gestures or miraculous feats. It's about the quiet, often overlooked indicators within our daily lives that point to a soul touched by the divine. Stay with us, because what we're about to unveil from the declarations of Pope Leo XIV, interpreted through the lens of a spiritual giant like Padre Pio, might just transform your understanding of blessedness and reveal a divine truth about your own journey. For centuries, the concept of blessedness has been a cornerstone of Christian faith, often associated with virtues, tribulations, or miraculous interventions. But Pope Leo XIV, a figure whose pronouncements carried immense weight in the Church, offered a perspective that simplifies this profound concept, bringing it closer to the everyday struggles and triumphs of ordinary believers. His declarations cut through the theological complexities, offering a clear, almost tangible framework for discerning divine favor. These aren't obscure theological tenets, but rather practical, discernible characteristics that, when present, signify a soul in communion with God's grace. And when we delve into these signs, it's impossible not to draw parallels with the life and teachings of Padre Pio, a saint whose entire existence was a testament to these very principles. Padre Pio, with his unwavering faith, his profound suffering, and his limitless charity, embodied the essence of what Pope Leo XIV spoke of, offering us a living example of blessedness in action. His life wasn't just about stigmata and supernatural occurrences. It was a daily surrender to God's will, a constant striving for holiness through prayer, penance, and selfless service. The first profound sign, according to Pope Leo XIV, that indicates you are truly blessed is a deep and abiding humility. This isn't a feigned modesty or a false sense of unworthiness, but a genuine recognition of one's place before God, acknowledging our dependence on divine grace and a profound appreciation for God's gifts. It's the antithesis of pride, that insidious root of so many sins. Padre Pio exemplified this humility in every aspect of his life. Despite the extraordinary spiritual gifts bestowed upon him, he consistently deflected praise, attributing all good to God. He saw himself as a simple friar, a humble instrument in God's hands, even when facing immense scrutiny and adoration from countless faithful. His suffering, which was immense and constant, was born with a humility that transcended human understanding, a testament to his deep spiritual fortitude. He never sought recognition or comfort, always prioritizing the salvation of souls above his own well-being. This humility allowed him to remain open to God's will, to accept both joy and sorrow with equal grace, and to truly serve others without expectation of reward. The second sign, equally powerful and transformative, is a profound and unwavering patience in suffering. In a world that often shies away from pain and seeks instant gratification, Pope Leo XIV's emphasis on patience in tribulation might seem counterintuitive. Yet it is precisely in the crucible of suffering that true spiritual strength is forged and blessedness revealed. This patience isn't a passive resignation, but an active endurance, a trust in God's plan even when the path is fraught with difficulties. Padre Pio's life is perhaps the most striking embodiment of this very principle. He bore the excruciating pain of the stigmata for decades, along with countless other physical ailments, with an astonishing and unwavering patience. He offered up his suffering for the conversion of sinners, never complaining, never questioning God's wisdom. His patience in the face of physical agony and spiritual attacks was a testament to his deep faith and his understanding that suffering, when united with Christ's, can be redemptive. He taught that suffering, when embraced with patience and offered to God, becomes a pathway to greater grace and deeper union with the divine. Finally, the third sign that Pope Leo XIV highlighted, indicating a state of blessedness, is a boundless and unconditional charity towards others. This charity extends beyond mere acts of kindness. It's a love that seeks the good of the other, even those who may be difficult or unlovable. It's a love that imitates Christ's own self-sacrificing love, putting the needs of others before one's own. Padre Pio's life was a continuous outpouring of this boundless charity. He spent countless hours in the confessional, listening to and guiding penitents, offering spiritual direction and interceding for them. He established the Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, home for the relief of suffering, a state-of-the-art hospital out of pure love for the suffering, demonstrating that charity is not just an emotion, but an active force for good in the world. His compassion knew no bounds, embracing everyone, from the most hardened sinner to the most devout believer. He saw Christ in every person he encountered and extended his love and prayers to all, without discrimination. This selfless devotion to others, born out of a profound love for God, is the ultimate mark of blessedness, transforming lives and radiating God's grace to the world. So, as you reflect on these three profound signs from Pope Leo XIV, amplified by the living example of Padre Pio, humility, patience in suffering, and boundless charity, consider your own life. Do you recognize any of these qualities within yourself? Are you striving for them in your daily walk? Perhaps, without even realizing it, you already possess a deep and abiding blessedness, a gift from God, waiting to be fully acknowledged and cultivated. Embracing these virtues is not just about achieving a state of grace, it's about living a life that truly reflects the divine within you. A life that, like Padre Pio's, becomes a beacon of hope and an inspiration to others. Fontes, let's dive deep into that first profound sign of blessedness identified by Pope Leo XIV, a deep and abiding humility. Now, this isn't just about being polite or shy, far from it. We're talking about a radical internal posture of the soul, a true recognition of our place in the grand tapestry of creation. It's the profound understanding that everything good, every talent, every breath we take is a gift. It's the opposite of the ego's relentless clamor for recognition, for control, for being at the center of the universe. Imagine for a moment a vast ocean, boundless and powerful. Humility in this context is seeing ourselves as but a single drop within that ocean, indispensable to its existence, yet utterly dependent on its immensity. Think about it. In our modern world, humility often gets a bad rap. It's sometimes mistaken for weakness, for a lack of ambition, for not asserting oneself. But Pope Leo XIV, steeped in centuries of spiritual wisdom, saw it as a cornerstone of true strength, a fertile ground where divine grace can truly take root. When we shed the illusion of self-sufficiency, when we embrace our dependence on God, that's when we become truly receptive to His blessings. It's a dynamic process, not a static state. It's a continuous emptying of self to make room for something far greater. And who better to exemplify this than Padre Pio? His life was a living sermon on humility. Consider the sheer scale of his spiritual gifts, the stigmata, bilocation, prophecy, reading souls. Any ordinary person might have been consumed by pride, perhaps even seen themselves as somehow superior. Yet, Padre Pio consistently deflected all praise, attributing everything to God's mercy and grace. He once famously said, "I want to be only a poor friar who prays, just a poor friar wwho prays." This wasn't false modesty. This was his genuine spiritual stance. He never saw himself as special, despite the undeniable evidence. He saw himself as an instrument, a channel for God's will, nothing more. His humility was deeply woven into his daily interactions. Think about the countless hours he spent in the confessional, sometimes 16 hours a day. Imagine the weight of the sins he heard, the spiritual battles he engaged in, the emotional and spiritual drain. Yet he approached each penitent, from the simplest peasant to the highest dignitary, with the same profound reverence and a quiet, unassuming demeanor. He wasn't there to judge, but to facilitate healing and reconciliation. This required an extraordinary level of self-forgetfulness, a profound humility that put the needs of the soul before him above his own exhaustion or discomfort. He didn't seek applause. He sought salvation for others. Let's pause on that for a moment. Self-forgetfulness. In a culture saturated with self-promotion and personal branding, this concept feels almost revolutionary. But for Padre Pio, it was the essence of his spiritual life. His humility allowed him to remain open to God's immediate promptings, to act not out of personal ego, but out of divine inspiration. He understood that true power doesn't come from asserting oneself, but from surrendering to a higher will. This surrender, this humility, made him an incredibly powerful conduit for God's grace, allowing miracles to happen through him, not by him. Consider his interactions with those who doubted or persecuted him. Despite facing immense scrutiny, false accusations, and even ecclesiastical restrictions, Padre Pio responded with remarkable patience and continued prayer. He didn't rail against injustice or seek vindication. His humility enabled him to accept these trials as part of God's plan, to offer them up for the salvation of souls. This is the difference between mere meekness and true humility. True humility is not a lack of strength, but a strength forged in absolute trust in God. It's the ability to withstand storms without being uprooted because your roots are firmly planted in divine ground, not in the shifting sands of human opinion. So, when Pope Leo XIV spoke of humility as a sign of blessedness, he was pointing to something far deeper than mere social grace. He was highlighting a fundamental spiritual orientation that opens the floodgates to divine favor. It's the quiet strength that allows us to face our imperfections, to learn from our mistakes, and to serve others without seeking glory for ourselves. It's about being truly present to God, acknowledging Him as the source of all good, and embracing our role as His beloved yet dependent children. And in the life of Padre Pio, we find a radiant example of how this deep and abiding humility can transform an ordinary friar into an extraordinary saint, a true testament to blessedness. Now let's turn our attention to the second powerful indicator of blessedness identified by Pope Leo XIV, a profound and unwavering patience in suffering. This isn't just about grinning and bearing it when life gets tough. Oh no, it's far more than that. This is an active, profound endurance, a spiritual resilience forged in the fires of adversity. It's about maintaining a deep, unwavering trust in God's plan, even when the path ahead is shrouded in darkness, even when the pain feels unbearable. In a world obsessed with comfort and immediate gratification, where even a slight inconvenience can trigger frustration, this ancient wisdom from Pope Leo XIV offers a radical countercultural perspective. Think about our own lives. Who hasn't faced a period of intense suffering? Maybe it was a personal loss, a chronic illness, financial hardship, or the quiet agony of misunderstanding and betrayal. In those moments, our natural inclination is often to resist, to complain, to ask, "Why me?" But Pope Leo XIV's insight, beautifully mirrored by the life of Padre Pio, challenges us to transform these moments of pain into opportunities for grace. It's about seeing suffering not as an arbitrary punishment, but as a crucible for purification and growth. It's about embracing the cross, not just intellectually, but with every fiber of our being. Consider the common human experience. We often try to escape discomfort, to numb pain, to distract ourselves from hardship. But what if, in our very attempts to avoid suffering, we're actually missing out on a profound spiritual encounter? What if enduring hardship with patience is precisely where we encounter God in a deeper, more intimate way? This isn't to say we should seek out suffering or that pain is inherently good. Instead, it's about how we respond to it when it inevitably arrives. Do we become bitter or do we become stronger? Do we close ourselves off, or do we open our hearts to divine consolation? Padre Pio's life provides the most compelling, almost visceral example of this unwavering patience. For decades, he bore the excruciating physical pain of the stigmata, the wounds of Christ, on his hands, feet, and side. Imagine living with open, bleeding wounds, day in and day out, for over 50 years. The constant pain, the discomfort, the practical challenges of dressing and living with such wounds would have driven most people to despair. Yet, Padre Pio never complained. He never sought relief for himself. Instead, he offered up his immense suffering for the conversion of sinners, for the salvation of souls. He embraced his pain as a participation in Christ's passion. But his suffering wasn't just physical. He endured profound spiritual attacks, temptations, and periods of desolation. He faced relentless scrutiny, suspicion, and even punitive measures from ecclesiastical authorities who questioned the authenticity of his gifts. He was forbidden from celebrating Mass publicly, from hearing confessions, and from interacting with the faithful for extended periods. This was a man whose entire life was dedicated to serving God and his people, and yet he was silenced, isolated, and publicly shamed. How did he react? Did he rail against the injustice? Did he rebel? No. He bore it all with an astonishing patience, obedience, and unwavering faith. He continued to pray, to offer himself to God, and to trust in divine providence, even when the circumstances seemed utterly bleak. This is the kind of patience Pope Leo XIV was talking about. It's not passive resignation, it's active endurance. It's the conviction that God has a purpose even in our deepest pain. Padre Pio's example teaches us that suffering, when embraced with patience and offered to God, ceases to be merely destructive. It becomes redemptive. It becomes a pathway to greater grace, deeper spiritual insight, and a profound union with Christ. His patience wasn't stoicism. It was love. Love for God and love for humanity. A love so profound, it transcended the limitations of physical and emotional agony. So, for us, in our own battles, large or small, what can we learn from this? When facing a setback at work, a challenging family dynamic, or even just the daily grind of life's annoyances, how do we respond? Do we allow impatience to consume us, or do we seek to cultivate that quiet, resilient spirit of enduring patience? What if embracing a moment of difficulty, rather than trying to escape it, could unlock a new level of strength and grace within? This second sign of blessedness is an invitation to look at our hardships not as roadblocks, but as unexpected doorways to a deeper spiritual life. Let's now uncover the third profound sign of blessedness that Pope Leo XIV highlighted. A virtue that truly radiates divine grace, a boundless and unconditional charity towards others. This isn't merely about acts of kindness, though those are certainly part of it. No, this is about a radical, self-giving love that mirrors Christ's own selfless devotion. It's a love that seeks the good of the other, even when they are difficult, even when they seem undeserving, even when it demands personal sacrifice. In a world that often prioritizes self-interest and transactional relationships, Pope Leo XIV's emphasis on such expansive charity calls us to a higher, more divine standard. This charity isn't confined to grand public gestures. It thrives in the everyday interactions, in the quiet acts of compassion, in the willingness to forgive, and in the relentless pursuit of another's well-being. It's the love that sees beyond superficial differences, recognizing the inherent dignity and worth in every single person, because every person is created in the image of God. This is the heart of what it means to live a blessed life, to extend God's love to his creation. And here again, the life of Padre Pio stands as an irrefutable testament to this boundless charity. His entire existence was an outpouring of love for God and for his fellow human beings. Consider the sheer scale of his outreach. He spent countless hours, often 18 hours a day, in the confessional. This wasn't just a duty, it was an act of profound charity. He listened to the deepest secrets, the darkest sins, the most profound sorrows of thousands upon thousands of penitents. He offered spiritual guidance, absolution, and a path back to God, often seeing into their very souls. His patience and dedication in this sacrament were driven by an immense love for lost souls, a burning desire to bring them back to Christ. This tireless dedication, day after day, year after year, profoundly demonstrates a charity that knew no bounds. Beyond the confessional, Padre Pio's charity extended to the most tangible forms of human need. He famously established the Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, the home for the relief of suffering, a modern state-of-the-art hospital in San Giovanni Rotondo. This was not a small undertaking. It was a massive, ambitious project, built through incredible effort and fueled by his passionate love for the sick and the suffering. He believed that caring for the body was intertwined with caring for the soul, and that every act of medical care was an act of charity towards Christ himself. This initiative, which continues to thrive today, stands as a monumental testament to his boundless, practical charity. He wasn't just praying for the sick, he was building institutions to heal them. He didn't just feel compassion, he acted on it in the most concrete ways possible. What's more, Padre Pio's charity embraced everyone, regardless of their background, status, or even their personal virtue. He extended his love and prayers to the most hardened sinners, to those who opposed him, and to those who doubted him. There are countless stories of individuals who came to him filled with cynicism or hostility, only to be disarmed by his profound compassion and unwavering love. His charity was truly unconditional, reflecting the divine mercy he so deeply embodied. This kind of charity isn't selective. It is all-encompassing, a powerful force that breaks down barriers and builds bridges. We've now explored three profound indicators of blessedness, as articulated by Pope Leo XIV and exemplified by Padre Pio: a deep humility, unwavering patience in suffering, and a boundless charity towards others. These aren't abstract concepts, but rather living virtues, manifested in concrete actions and attitudes. They represent a pathway to true spiritual fulfillment and a closer walk with God. So, as we consider this boundless charity, ask yourself, in what ways can I extend more unconditional love in my own life? How can I move beyond mere obligation to a genuine, heartfelt desire for the good of others? Perhaps it's in forgiving someone who has wronged you, or in actively seeking out opportunities to serve those in need, or simply in offering a kind word to someone who is struggling. This boundless charity, dear friends, is not just a sign of blessedness. It is the very essence of a life lived in profound communion with the divine. It is the love that transforms us, and through us transforms the world. Let's delve into the fourth and perhaps most profound aspect, one that adds a crucial layer of nuance to Pope Leo XIV's vision of blessedness. The dynamic interplay between these three virtues: humility, patience in suffering, and boundless charity, and the continuous spiritual warfare they entail. It's not enough to simply possess these qualities. True blessedness often manifests in the active, daily struggle to cultivate and maintain them, especially in the face of internal and external opposition. This isn't a passive state of being, but a continuous journey, fraught with challenges and requiring vigilance. An error many people make is viewing these virtues as static achievements, like checking off items on a divine to-do list. We might think, okay, I've done a humble act, now I'm humble, or I've helped someone, so I have charity. But the reality, as exemplified by spiritual masters like Padre Pio, is that these virtues are constantly being tested, refined, and, at times, attacked. They are living, breathing aspects of our spiritual life, and their very existence often provokes opposition. Consider the challenge to humility. Once you start to experience some spiritual growth, or perhaps you receive recognition for your good deeds, the subtle temptation of pride often creeps in. It's the insidious whisper that says, "Look at what you achieved," or "You're better than others because of your virtues." Padre Pio, despite his profound humility, was not immune to these spiritual battles. He famously faced intense demonic attacks, both physical and psychological, which can be interpreted as desperate attempts by evil to break his spirit and undermine his deep sense of unworthiness. He fought these battles with unwavering faith, knowing that true humility wasn't about denying his gifts, but about recognizing their divine source and using them solely for God's glory. The lesson here is that humility is not a destination, but a constant act of surrender and self-emptying, particularly when we are tempted to take credit for what is truly God's. Now let's turn to the nuance of patience in suffering. It's easy to be patient when the suffering is temporary or when we can clearly see an end in sight. But what about prolonged, seemingly pointless suffering? What about the moments when God feels distant, when prayers seem unanswered, and the weight of your cross feels unbearable? This is where the true test of patience lies. Padre Pio's decades-long endurance of the stigmata was not just a physical ordeal. It was a constant spiritual battle against despair, against the temptation to question God's plan. There were moments of profound spiritual dryness where he felt abandoned by God, yet he clung to his faith with an unshakable resolve. This highlights a crucial point. Patience in suffering isn't about liking the pain, but about trusting through the pain, even when every fiber of your being screams for relief. It's an active choice to offer up one's suffering, even when you don't understand its purpose. This unexpected lesson is that true patience is often forged in the crucible of unanswered questions and unexplained pain. And finally, the dynamic nature of boundless charity. This virtue, while seemingly straightforward, carries its own set of profound challenges. It's easy to love those who love us back, or those who are easy to love. But what about extending charity to those who actively persecute us, who slander us, or who simply annoy us? Padre Pio, despite being a man of immense love, faced opposition and misunderstanding throughout his ministry. He was scrutinized, doubted, and even restricted by authorities. Yet, he continued to pray for his detractors and extend love and forgiveness, even to those who sought to harm his reputation or impede his work. This is where boundless charity truly shines, not just in acts of kindness, but in the willingness to love and pray for those who are unlovable, demonstrating a divine love that transcends human limitations. The surprising twist here is that Authentic charity often begins where human affection ends, demanding a supernatural grace to love as Christ loved. In essence, Pope Leo XIII's teachings, illuminated by the struggles and triumphs of Padre Pio, reveal that blessedness isn't a static achievement, but a continuous dynamic process of striving for and living out these virtues amidst constant spiritual warfare. It's in the ongoing battle against pride, despair, and selfishness that these signs of blessedness are truly honed and made manifest. It's in the daily commitment to cultivate humility, patience, and charity, even when it's incredibly difficult, that we truly walk in God's grace. We've journeyed through the profound insights of Pope Leo XIV, illuminated by the remarkable life of Padre Pio, uncovering 4 powerful indicators of true blessedness: deep humility, unwavering patience in suffering, boundless charity, and the dynamic spiritual warfare inherent in cultivating these virtues. These aren't just ancient concepts, they are living blueprints for a life touched by divine grace, a life of profound purpose and spiritual richness. The true impact of these virtues isn't found in a textbook or in a distant historical account. It's found in the transformation they can bring to your life, right here, right now. Imagine navigating your daily challenges with a newfound humility that liberates you from pride, a resilient patience that transforms suffering into strength, and a boundless charity that makes you a conduit of God's love in a world desperately in need. This isn't about achieving perfection, but about embracing a journey, a constant striving, knowing that every step taken in these virtues brings you closer to the heart of God. Padre Pio's life stands as a testament to this truth, that a life lived in humble service, patient endurance, and selfless love is a life truly blessed. It's a life that leaves an indelible mark, not just on those around us, but on our very souls. His story isn't just about miracles, it's about the extraordinary power of an ordinary human being who fully surrendered to God's will, embodying these virtues even amidst immense trials. He proves that blessedness is not an elusive state reserved for saints, but a profound reality accessible to all who earnestly seek it. What if embracing just one of these virtues more deeply could fundamentally shift your perspective, open new pathways to grace, and bring you a peace that surpasses all understanding? What if your response to life's inevitable challenges became a testament to your faith, a reflection of Christ within you? This isn't just about listening to a video, it's about a personal invitation to transformation, to live a life that truly reflects God's favor. Your next step in blessedness, if this message has resonated with you, if it sparked a desire for deeper spiritual growth and understanding, don't let this moment pass. Take action and continue this journey with us. First, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. You'll see the subscribe button right below this video. By joining our community, you'll continue to receive inspiring content about Padre Pio, profound spiritual insights, and practical guidance to enrich your faith journey. Don't miss out on future messages that can transform your perspective. Second, if this video brought you even a glimmer of light or inspiration, please hit the like button, the thumbs up icon. Your simple click helps this message reach even more people, allowing this profound wisdom to touch and inspire a wider audience hungry for truth and spiritual nourishment. Third, we want to hear from you. What's your greatest reflection on today's topic? Which of the 4 signs of blessedness spoke most powerfully to your heart? Share your perspective in the comments below. Your insights are incredibly valuable, not just to us, but to the entire community here, fostering a space for shared reflection and growth. And finally, consider sharing this video with someone who could benefit from this message. Perhaps a friend, A family member or anyone you know who might be struggling or simply seeking a deeper understanding of what it means to be truly blessed. A simple share can inspire others and spread the light of God's wisdom far and wide. Remember, the path to blessedness isn't a destination, but a continuous journey of growth, marked by humility, patience, charity, and unwavering faith. Embrace these virtues, and you will discover a profound, lasting peace. May your life be a living testament to divine grace.